it's going to be. The key is to talk into the microphone on all podcasts. Blake, hey everybody, welcome back to the 3 of 7 podcast. If you're watching on YouTube, you might get the back of Blake's head in the video every now and then. We've got a full studio today. A full studio. Y'all got a system worked out over there?
I guess.
Oh, yeah.
So, Blake and Chili.
We might do handheld chili on this.
Yeah, you guys should just do it. No.
Thank you for joining.
No,
Yeah, let's just do this. We'll just steal the show here.
Blake and Chili are working. You keep that mic, Chili. You have better things to say than Blake has usually.
Oh, thanks.
They're sharing a mic. We've got Tigg and Angela. Ange, I almost called her Ange, but her full name is Angela. On the podcast today, welcome to the 3 of 7 podcast, guys.
Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
How's it feel to be in the studio?
It's a little nerve-wracking.
They were sweating it last night.
Yeah.
I asked Tig earlier, I said, have you ever been on a podcast before? And he said, no. I said, well, you picked a good one to come on for your first one.
That's right.
Boy, I tell you, I've got some office work to do. That text last night was rough, wasn't it, Chili?
Well, you've got some physical work to do too. You've got to clean up a lot of shortcomings around here.
Tell the people, tell the people about our run yesterday.
Well, as usual, I think you'd be better to tell it because
I tell the truth.
no, I tell the truth, but you tell the more funny story because you lie and act like it was going better than it was. I mean, let me just go ahead and tell you. We ran yesterday. It wasn't a long run for me, but it was a long run for Chad. It legitimately made me cringe to watch how weak he is. I mean, we get about 18 miles in. No, let me just tell it from the beginning, okay? We both decide we need to do a long run today, and that'd be good if we ran it together.
Tuesdays are our long run days now. Are you okay with that, by the way, Blake? Just shake your head, yes or no. Tuesdays, we're going to be running the whole day. Just shake your head, yes or no.
I mean, if you'll get your dang work done in here, then go do what you want. But, I mean, we got a business to run.
Hey, we're runners, okay?
Somebody's got to win some dang races around here, son.
Yeah.
What do you think we hired Chili for?
Yeah. Somebody's got to be the athlete here, okay? So.
Okay. Tuesdays are our long run days. That's established now.
Well, yeah. So I was thinking, hey man, I'm thinking about getting a good 25 in, even though that ain't long, but you know, it was.
No, hold on. You say that's not long, but really, what do you think? Since we're the premier ultra running podcast, let's get some ultra running knowledge out there. Really, what do you think the longest long run that you should run in training? Because I feel like once you go over 20 in a long training run, you're just kind of hurting your body more than you're helping it in training.
To me, your long run, how long it should be is dependent on how long your race is. Like, to me, a marathon long run, yeah, you can cap it at like 20 miles. But if you're doing 100, I think a good max long run for a 100-miler is 6 hours. Whatever that comes out to be.
Okay.
Something like that.
I
think it changes. I mean, if you're if you're just racing for a 5K, you don't necessarily need a 20-mile long run.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, you know.
I just feel like in training, anything over 20 miles, I think is just beating your body up.
Well, I've utilized lots of over 20-mile runs, and
that's why you blew up.
That's why I blew up.
Don't forget how you blew up.
Yeah,
Hey, I pulled Chili out of the gutter a year ago. I pulled him out of the gutter, son.
Hey.
All right, keep talking about our run.
Yeah, let me tell you about blowing up. We start this run. We're running 7:20 pace, 7:30 pace.
Yeah.
And I look over, and I don't have a watch on, but I'm like, this is probably 7:30. That's what I thought it was. I thought, buddy, if we're gonna do 25 miles, you better just back back this horse on up. And he looks over and goes, no, man, when I run with you, I just like to try to bury myself. So we're going to run hard. And I thought, man, I actually like to get some quality out of my training. You know, I like to have it be a progression run. You know, you start out fast is fine, but where you can sustain it. Well, and I knew if he tried to hold this pace, he was going to get slap miserable.
I'm more of an advocate for a digression run.
That regression
Run.
Yeah.
Start fast and then slow down.
Yep.
That's right. That's Chad's philosophy.
Especially in the wintertime, because you got to get warmed up. When you first walk out there, you're cold. So you got to start fast until you get warmed up. And by the time you're warmed up, you'll be slowing down a little bit.
So if y'all want to run like Chad, just get slower as you get further. If you want to run like Chili, well, speed up. But so we're about 2 miles in at this point, and I'm looking at him. I'm like, man, this is going to get bad. And he's like, no. So 6 miles in, you know, we're still good. 8 miles in, still good. 10 miles in, still good. 12, I'm noticing he's not exactly functioning.
No, not at 12. I was clicking at 12.
Well, he's going out of the room here, so I can tell you the truth. About 12 miles, it's really starting to fall off. It's not. I mean, he you know how he says don't give pain a voice? Well, he looks over at me and says, buddy, my hamstrings are tightening up. And I said, well, we ain't even halfway through, so that ain't real good there. And about 18 miles in, whatever was holding Chad together just crumbled. Just crumbled. We get to the hill to come back up his house. He had to get some water. Really, it was just an excuse for him to stop. He needed a break.
No, I had drank 500 milliliters of water in 18 miles. Yeah. A half a liter.
Excuse number one. No,
I'm not making an excuse. I'm just telling you how much water I had drank.
Oh, okay. So what does that have to do with anything? So we get up to the house, and he walks in the house, and I'm just standing there waiting on him, kind of jogging in place. And Brooke comes out, and she goes, Chili, you've made him throw up. And I didn't watch him. I guess he was in the house.
No, I wasn't throwing up. I tried to drink water, and it went down the wrong pipe, and I was hacking and coughing.
Okay. Well, so we come out. We start out our last 7 miles. Blake calls him. He gets his phone out. And, I mean, he was just...
I was mean to Blake.
You were just hateful to Blake.
I said...
Yeah, he said something. I don't even remember what you said. What do you want, dummy? We're getting fit. Leave us alone. And I said, all right.
Oh, man.
So that set the stage for the story I'll tell you in a minute.
Yeah, so he's just hateful to Blake, and we run down the hill, and then Chad just starts dry heaving.
I was not dry heaving.
Every step you were dry heaving. You'd go,
Things had went very pear-shaped for me. At 18 miles, my run went pear-shaped.
Yeah, once again, I didn't have a watch, but I looked at it after. I think we were clicking off about 13-minute pace here. I mean, boy, that you got slapped miserable. So we're on that trail. We're rolling. He's every about 5 steps. He's dry heaving, and we finally get down to the road. And
hold on. What about when we came out on that top cabin up there? You remember what happened up there?
Yeah, we're coming up a big. We're coming up a big climb, and he starts telling me, "I think you're hurting just as bad as me. You're just using me as an excuse, acting like you're just staying with me." And I said, "Oh, okay." So I just ran the climb and get to the top of it and wait on him for about 3 minutes and a quarter of a mile, and put a good 3-4 minutes on him. And he runs into this top cabin. He runs in there. He goes, "Hold on." I go, "What are you doing?" He runs in the house, stumbles in, and comes out with a kombucha or something.
Yeah.
What'd you have?
Kombucha.
Yeah, you drank about half of it and put it back down, and we kept running. and then right as
I was hoping there was going to be a can of Coca-Cola in there is what I was looking for.
Wait, is this someone's house you know?
Oh yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, right as he comes as he comes stumbling back out, here he goes dry heaving again. Whatever was in that drink made him dry heave again. So then we're about 21 miles in. We run down the hill. I mean, he keeps saying I'm struggling, so I just keep pulling ahead and then running back to him just to hurt his feelings some more. And then we finally get down to the road. We got about 2 miles left, so we run a mile out, and I mean, just it's pitiful. So I said, you know what? I'm gonna just run this last mile. I gotta open my legs back up. So I put a good 5 minutes on him in the last mile. Get back to the house, wait on him, and dude, you come stumbling in. He lays out on the floor, and he can't get comfortable. He's just moving. He's squirming all over the place like a freaking fish, and he's putting his legs up. I gotta get my legs elevated. And then when he did, his hip flexor started cramping, and he'd go, "Oh gosh, I gotta sit down." And then he'd stand up, and then he'd, "Brooke, close the doors. I'm getting cold. I can't regulate my body temperature in here." I mean, he's in a cold sweat. He's asking for food. Yeah.
Did he get rhabdo?
Oh, he's still got rhabdo.
You know what I needed? I needed some of them Normatex.
Yeah, you could have fit right in somewhere with them Normatex.
I was hurting pretty bad, but Chili luckily had a tube of Vagisil, and he rubbed it on my hamstrings and my glutes, rubbed it in nice and, where it absorbed in my skin, and boy, I felt right good after that.
Well, that's the beginning of the story. Then Chad calls me when I'm out jumping on the trampoline, and I said, "Hey, you going to come eat with me and Tig and Ange and Justin?" He said, "Oh, no, I don't even think I can stand up right now, Blake. I'm in bad shape. I don't even think I can stand up." So we go eat, and we get home about 8:30 or something, and I send a text out what we're going to do the next day. And then Chad pops off hateful again on there. And I said, well, someone's got to take some initiative around here and set something up, or we'll be waiting until tomorrow night. And he sends back these laughing faces. And I said, well, the only thing laughable around here is your lack of willingness to do anything but run.
Office work.
And I list all this thing that keeps 3 of 7 alive that he's been neglecting for about 4 months. And
man, it's the first month of the year. He wants me to have the whole dang year planned out in January.
We've got people waiting to hear back from us on the 50K.
I do that on purpose. Y'all, look, all y'all that are
Grant,
waiting.
I'm trying to get it, Grant. I'm trying to get it. We got people wanting to go on an Alpine trip. We got I've got receipts missing from before Thanksgiving of last
here's
year.
The receipts again.
I mean, so we're going. I mean, I can't even settle up on those expenses. On account of him.
All of y'all that are waiting for the 3 of 7 project 50K dates, or our advanced students that are waiting for the invitation to the Alpine trip, I do this on purpose. What do I tell y'all? One of the pillars of my life is patience. I do this mess on purpose. All right? So don't rush me. I'm giving people an opportunity to practice being patient. Tig, how long did you have to wait for your basic course invitation after you submitted your application?
It felt like forever.
It was a long time, wasn't it?
It was several months for sure. Yeah.
How convenient that Chad is blaming his lack of willingness to do work and playing it as I'm teaching you something here with my laziness.
Strategic move.
That's right.
Yeah. Strategy.
Everything that Chili and I do is for a reason. Everything we do. And see, people from the outside might look at it as like, oh, these guys are being procrastinators, or they're doing this or that. They don't understand what we're doing. But everything we do is to develop you into a freaking machine, a warrior, man.
You can't make people understand that.
No, you really can't.
No, it's no big deal. We'll just keep doing it.
Yeah.
Some people got to be the developers. Some got to be the ones getting
the
developed.
office people. Yep. Some people got to be the office people.
I like how when Chad is unsure of things, he tries to bring other people into it, and he brings he'll bring Chili, and if he's unsure and he feels like he might need some backup because he's going to get some flack for what he says, he'll bring other people into it. So he's like, I got some people on my side here. Me and Chili, you're really ticking me and Chili off. Here, Chili don't even say nothing.
Chili's always on my side.
Hey, I'm on his side, man. Somebody's got to win some races around here, man. Yeah.
Yeah. So, I don't know.
Freaking keep pissing off your racehorses, man.
Yeah, you Blake, you gotta.
It makes them faster when you make them mad.
No, man, you need to. As a matter of fact, think about how people care for their racehorses. They make sure they have the best food. They brush them down. They make sure they're getting their exercise right. They provide a nice space for them to recover. You need to think about this stuff. You know what I'm saying? I mean,
you selling on yesterday's win, son. You got to do some things yourself. Practice what you preach.
What are you talking about?
People don't have to provide that
I'm a
stuff for you.
racehorse,
Go
man.
out and get it, son.
Oh, I'm getting it.
Good.
Oh, all right. I don't know look, that run, that is the first really long, hard run. I have taken a long break from training specifically in running. I've been, dabbling in this CrossFit and all this other stuff, and I've taken a long break. But now I do that intentionally with my running. I'll train up for a race, I'll race, and then I'll take a long break where I still run, but I'm not running a lot. I think that's good for your body. I think that gives you longevity. If you guys watch the new running series that's coming out soon, you'll get to see what guides me in my training process. And so I'm coming off that break now. That was my first long run. And I wanted that run to be like that. I wanted to say, all right, I wanted my body to be like, all right, we're doing this again. And it did the trick. But I was reduced to
a puddle.
I was literally reduced to a wad of chewed up bubble gum by the end of that thing.
Yeah, I hate to see you like that, man. You're my racehorse partner. I mean, we're in this together, and you were reduced to a crawl.
Just call it like it is, Chili. He's your daddy.
I'll tell you what, Chili.
Hey, don't be freaking talking like that.
Chili, you missed a grand opportunity to get some content for the sticker club yesterday.
Well,
I mean, dude, imagine what you could have got for the sticker club, man.
I'm not your social media type.
It's the sticker club.
Well, hey, I'm not pulling out my phone to video you.
So that's
your gig.
What is the sticker club?
Well, the sticker club, man. All I'm gonna say is, by the time you hear this podcast, the sticker club will be live on the 307 Project store. All right, and it's an exclusive club. I'm not going to give you too much details. You're just going to have to figure it out on your own. You want to have all of them.
Got to catch them all.
You got to catch them all. That's all I'm going to say. You want these. You want these stickers. They're limited. I'm going to go ahead and tell you, they're limited to 100. There's only 100 of each. And if you don't get it,
they're gone.
Don't send me a message 3 months later saying, hey, that sticker with whoever, can I have one of those? No, there's 100 in existence. That's it. We don't even have any of them. There's just 100. So if you want one, you better get it. And we're going to have more coming out down the line. And if you want to be a full-fledged member of the 307 Project Sticker Club and you don't have every single sticker in the collection, you ain't it. You ain't in it. So you better get on it now. That's all I'm going to say.
That's a good description.
Y'all go look up. Even if you don't buy a sticker, just go look up the pictures of them. They are hideous.
Where can people find the sticker club at?
The 307 Project store. What are you talking about?
37project.com.
Yeah.
And then you click the store.
Yep.
Okay. I'll attach a link to the sticker club in the show notes of this episode.
Yep. Yep. Where you go to buy, your logo sticker or whatever, they're going to be under the same section of the store, and you'll see them.
It's going to be big.
Are there only stickers, or is it going to be like a passport that you need to fill with the sticker?
Well, see, I have a vision, Tig, of once we have more. So our initial drop is just 3 stickers. I want to have about 100 to be in the full-fledged sticker club.
Yeah.
Club, you got to be a member. And so once we have them all released, I want to create a sticker book where you have to put them all in this book. You see what I'm saying?
So if you get a sticker right now and you're in the sticker, you're starting your journey into the sticker club, don't stick the sticker on anything. You save the sticker. It's a limited time. As a matter of fact, some of y'all might get autographed stickers. Some of these stickers might be autographed on the back. Y'all, look, that's worth something right there. That's worth at least 5 cents.
Collectibles.
Yeah, it's collectible. Yeah.
Yeah, you know that little part you peel off? It's going to be numbered to 100.
Shh, don't throw it away.
No.
Yeah.
That's memorabilia right there.
I can't wait for this. All right. Well, it's interesting that we have Tigg on the podcast. Let me tell y'all something about Tigg Orr. If y'all don't know Tigg, when you first meet Tigg, you say, "There's something different about this guy. There's something special about this guy." That was my perspective when I first met Tigg. That he's a unique person. He's his own person, and you just know he's kind of a standalone dude. Not that he's not saying that he's can't be a team member, right? But he is. I've never met anybody else that's like Tigg.
Yeah, he's confident in who he is. He's willing to share and be open, and there's just no bones about who he is.
Tigg, first of all, dude, what's your real name?
My real name is Rigan.
Like, how would you spell that?
Riagan.
Okay.
Rigan. It's the Gaelic Irish pronunciation of Reagan.
Yeah. I love that, man.
Is your last name really Orr?
It is.
Okay.
Yeah, O-R-R.
How did you get the name Tigg?
That's a long story. This podcast is not long enough to
Just
tell that
tell me
story.
how you got the name Tigg. Man.
my
Give
dad-
me the high level view of
My
it.
dad gave it to me when I was little, watching Winnie the Pooh on TV, and apparently either he dropped me or something. And you've seen how Tigger comes into Pooh's house, like he rolls across the floor and crashes into the door and everything. Apparently I did something similar, and he said, "You look a lot like a Tigger." And it was Tigger until about junior high, and then Tigger wasn't cool anymore. Tigger was little kid stuff. So I dropped the air, and then it was just Tigg. And it's been Tigg since. Nobody calls me Rigan, and my mom doesn't call me Rigan. Yeah, it's
That is pretty cool,
been Tigg,
man.
Tigg all my life. Yeah.
Well, Angie, when did you guys meet?
Oh, it's Angela or Ange. Don't
Ange.
call her
Oh,
Angie.
dang it, man.
Not
Don't
Angie.
forget to talk into that mic, Ange.
Okay. We met like 14 years ago. 13
14
Yeah.
years? How long have y'all been married?
7.
He's 7 in 2 weeks.
Wow, man. Where did you grow up, Tigg?
I grew up in Maine. I grew up as a child on an island on the coast of Maine. And then we moved. It was connected by bridges, but we moved inland when I went to high school because that's where high school was. So I grew up there as a kid, went to high school in Maine, then went to college in Vermont. And lived all over New England up until 2009 when I moved to the West Coast.
What's the deal with the move? I mean, that's up in Maine, that's a culture, man. Yeah. Like, those are some special people that live up there. That's a big shift, man.
Yeah, I met her.
All right, are you from the West Coast, Ange?
Yeah, I'm an Oregon girl.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we met, and I ended up moving. I was always drawn to the Pacific Northwest, always had a calling to be somewhere out in that area. And
Even your mom kind of feels like that. Like,
Yeah.
Like, oh, we should go west. Like, it's a kind of a romantic notion for.
yeah, so Ange and I met, and it was kismet, I guess. Yeah, just meant to be out there, and packed things up, and moved west.
I'll be dang. Well, Ange, we had a baptism this morning, by the way. Tigg, that was pretty cool, man.
It was, and I thank you both. I thank all three of you for having us out and the hospitality you've shown. I knew when I got baptized that I wanted you guys to do it. You know, we had an opportunity at our local church, you know, to sign up for it and have it done there. And I had thought about that and then decided that this is where I want to be, and you're the people I want to do it. So,
Boy, what an honor it is, and it's really cool. I love being able to do these wintertime baptisms.
it was cold.
One
You
because
mean you love being? What do you mean?
I'm saying I love to be able to be a part of it because it's. I mean, I'm standing on the beach videoing, but man, it's so memorable because like it's one thing to be baptized inside in front of the congregation, in a church building, and it's all kind of set up. But man, when you walk out to that lake and that wind's blowing and it's cold and you just got done climbing a mountain, it's like, it's just, to me, I'll never forget any of them. Even I'm not the one being baptized, they're so memorable to me. It's like, it becomes a story that's bigger than just the single moment. You know what I mean? I'm so thankful that God's called us to be a part of, that aspect of people's testimony and faith. I mean, I told you this morning when I prayed, I said, well, I guess I told Jesus, I said, it's just surreal to me. It really is surreal to me because maybe you don't understand. It wasn't that long ago. I was this little redneck country guy in a white V-neck T-shirt that hung out on the front porch and shot squirrels off the front porch, and never thought that I would really experience something nowhere near on this scale in life. And it's just surreal to me when we get to be a part of things like we were able to be a part of this morning, and just to be surrounded by awesome brothers and sisters, and to have a just 3 of 7 project, to have a way to that binds all this together and allows it to happen. It's literally like this morning I just had to like pinch myself like, man, this is real. Look at all these people in the house right now. Like, look what we just all did together. It's like, holy smokes, man. It never gets old.
Well, go ahead, Tig.
I was just going to say, it really is a sense of family. I was telling Angela just in the short drive over here to do the podcast that it really feels like family. The way you open your home to all of us that had the PT this morning, and then, to break bread or have breakfast together, and just the conversation. And it really is a family feeling. The 3 of 7 family, not just the project, but the family.
Yeah. Yeah. It's crazy, man.
Yeah, and I mean, what's cool to me is we get to be around people of good character, and like, the races, the business owners, the whatever, like really any healthy person can go do that. Any smart person can go run a successful business, or fit person can train and go win a race. But to have good character and to be around people like that, to me, means so much more than, people get excited like, oh, I get to be around this person who did this spectacular thing. And really, it's just, I appreciate so much more being around people that have good character, because those skills and abilities can be learned and taught and grown over time. But character is something, I mean, I guess you could argue that you could learn some of that, but it's going to take a really long time. It's got kind of something you've got to live.
Yeah, and I think we talked about that a little bit at the Proving Ground just, a couple weeks ago, about character. What do you look for in people that you want in your circle?
Yeah.
And character above skill is the primary, the primary thing.
Yeah. That little talk that me and Aaron had at the Proving Grounds, that was fun for me. Was that fun for you guys?
Yeah, it was interesting. It was, questions that I've had in the back of my mind about your time in the teams and whatnot, and to have you talk a little bit about that, was great.
I thought that was a lot of fun. That was the first time we had done that.
Yeah.
So, I intentionally, I'm going to ask you a question, Ange, and I just make sure you're talking to that mic now. Okay. I intentionally didn't ask you this morning, like, where are you with faith and your spiritual life? Like, I don't know anything about you.
I grew up in church. My dad was a pastor. So it's
no kidding, man.
Yeah.
You married this heathen?
Yep. I tell you what, they're like just clapping today, seeing him get baptized.
Yeah.
Sent to my mom a picture. But yeah, so church has just been a part of church and Jesus, and all of it has been a part of my life forever. And yep, I married a heathen.
No more.
No more. Yeah.
Well, and Tig, your life has not all faith hasn't always been a part of your life, right?
No.
I mean, you've had a pretty bumpy road, right?
Yeah, I didn't grow up with going to the church at all, really. I guess my dad was a Methodist, a lay preacher, but that was even before I was born. But we didn't go to church. I maybe went to Sunday school once in a while, just like if I had a sleepover at a friend's house and they happened to be going to church the next morning.
Yeah.
I'd end up going to church and Sunday school. But yeah, no church for me until I met Ange, pretty much.
Really?
Yeah. Yeah.
So what were you doing in your younger years before you met Ange, Tig? What was your life like?
It was busy. I mean, I was married before. I had a previous marriage, which was good. I've got 2 wonderful kids. I was an athlete. I raced mountain bikes for years and years, and then got into triathlons. I did triathlons for several years, and then until I didn't, I guess. Yeah.
Uh-huh.
But
I did not know you were a mountain biker.
I raced competitively for maybe 3 or 4 years. Downhill, primarily.
Dude, I got a trail at the house. I wish I would have pulled a mountain bike out and let you hit that downhill trail. I did
But
not
you
know
haven't
that.
raced for, I mean, once
it's been
out
over a decade,
west, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, part of my move west, actually, to finance that trip, I sold my bikes, which I had quite a stable. I sold them all, and then eventually I bought I have a road bike now, a cross bike, it's like a cross bike.
Okay.
But yeah, I used to race competitively. Was ranked in the nation at one point.
No kidding, dude. You gotta break that part of your life down. I'm trying to understand where you were at. So what your life was like then. I'm trying to understand that because I don't know anything. All I know is the now Tig.
Right. Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. It was good. I mean, everything I did revolved around bicycles. I mean, I hung out at a bike shop. I went on group rides. I was, part of a team manager for a downhill team. I ran endurance, like 24-hour bike races,
So that was your thing then.
That was all consuming. Yeah.
Now why did you back off of that?
When I moved west, I moved away from my team, my support system, and again, I had to sell my bikes as part of the move, and I just never got back into it. I never found people when I got to Portland. We're in Portland, Oregon. I never found, even though there are a lot of cyclists there, I never found a group to get involved with. It just, I had other things going on, trying to find a new job, and just got wrapped up in day-to-day life and never had the free time to get back into biking. Yeah.
So what were you doing professionally in your earlier years? Was biking your job too? Was that?
No, I had several jobs. I worked for Home Depot for many years, both in store and in a corporate environment. Then different thing. I worked at a casino. I did IT work for a casino with slot machines for several years, and yeah, just kind of all over the place.
Okay.
But once you moved out to Portland, like, I'm not super sporty or running and biking. Like, that's just not my thing. And so, like, how was he going to meet? Like, we just didn't have a group of people that we were connected with.
Where did you guys meet? On the East Coast or West Coast?
What? Okay, you go.
In between, we actually met on the internet. Yeah.
Okay.
It was online, as they say.
How'd that first date go? The first time you guys saw each other in person?
Really well.
Did it really?
Yeah, it was good.
Yeah.
We've been talking
Yeah.
back and forth for so long.
Okay.
I mean, it was kind of one of those things like, who does this work out for? I mean, this is before like internet, like.
Oh, that's the thing now.
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it
Yeah.
was not a thing
Yeah.
then. But yeah, we were like, who does this really work out for? And then we were like, well, I don't know, maybe us. Like, so yeah.
Okay.
But we both went through divorces, and
Yeah.
so it was like we started over at mid-30s, and yeah.
So, what has got you to the point that you are now in your faith, Tig, like in your spiritual life? Like, how did that transition go? I mean, how'd you end up here?
That's she always tells the stories better than I do, but I think I was always a searcher, looking, and I actually, even through my younger years and up through college, I'd look a little bit at Buddhism, because I was in college, and that's what, a little bit of that, and Christianity, and I took little pieces and parts. I always considered myself spiritual, not religious. Certainly wasn't a follower of Jesus, but I wasn't taking that off the table either. I was trying to take the best of a little bit of everything. Until I met Ange, and then even in the early years of us being together, wasn't really a follower of Jesus, even though she was very strong in her faith. When her dad being a pastor. And then 3-7 Project. I mean, you guys really, it was a blessing to stumble upon you, and I had no intention of getting involved with Jesus or Christianity when I first started watching, but as you ministered, you guys have done what you did, I became more interested in it, and just listening to the podcast and that sort of thing. So it piqued my interest in everything that she had done her whole life, and
we kind of put it in country boy logic terms.
Yeah. Well, you made it approachable and accessible.
There you go, man. I love it.
But also, isn't that just how God works? It's like there are so many things that happen before prayers, and just like so much that lays the groundwork for the Holy Spirit to like really soften your heart, and like you hold those things with an open hand, and then at the right timing, then it was like he was ready. Yeah. And I never wanted to like push him, because that's not like, it has to be his relationship with Jesus. It can't be mine. I mean, I have my own, but he needs to have his own. Yeah. And so I really didn't like push that very much.
Well, that's what I wanted to ask you, Ange. Like, how was it in the early years of you guys' relationship? How was it being married to someone that didn't have the same foundation of faith that you had? I mean, was that a struggle? What were I know there had to be some struggles. What were you doing? What was the struggle? How was that for you?
I had been part of a really big church, like a mega church, and been really involved there, and just like through divorce and all life changes, like was really disillusioned. And so the fact that like Tig didn't have like church baggage was, I liked that about him. Like that he was sensitive to spiritual things and like didn't belittle my faith, even though he didn't share it, but he like wanted to hear about it. But I liked that he didn't have the baggage that comes sometimes with, probably a lot of times with people that have been in church for a long time. And so I liked that about him, rather than the other way around, where you're just like, oh, I wish he would come. Like, it was like, good. Like, it's freeing. Like, we all have a different path. And so, I mean, the first couple of years, that's how it was. And then I really missed a community. And so we went to a church for a little while, but we went when it was convenient.
Yeah. We tried on several.
Yes. Tried on.
Nah, just not a good fit. Like the ones that we tried, here and there, and just couldn't find a good fit.
So how was that for you, Tig? Like being injected amongst this body of believers that all believed in this one thing, and you weren't there yet.
It was uncomfortable at first. I had no interest in taking communion. That was uncomfortable for me. Yeah. And we even went to some classes. And I was interested in the historical side of the Bible. A lot of that interested me, though.
Me too.
Yeah. But still wasn't comfortable being involved in the spiritual side of it, really.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I bet that I still get uncomfortable when I go to a church building. It's too many people. Just you know.
But we really haven't been part of a church. But that has, like,
No, you are part of the church.
Right. Yes.
Yeah.
You're right. But that has been something that I think for me is really, like, I have missed that so much.
Yeah.
And that community, to have a support system and stuff, that was like, it got harder. Like, I really wanted that and prayed for that.
And Tig, you were basically willing because you saw that Ange wanted that, needed that, was yearning for that. You were willing to stay by her side.
Oh, yeah.
And at least seeking that out.
Of course, yeah. Yeah.
That takes a lot of courage, man. I couldn't imagine going to it'd be tough going to a meeting, a church meeting, and being like, well, I'm here. I don't really believe this, but I'm here. I mean,
That's what it's for, right?
yeah.
I mean,
Right.
you know, that's really what it's not. It serves multiple functions. It can serve the function of it's a local church body.
Yeah.
That's, you know, yes, we've defined what the church is, but there's also, you know, local churches. You live in Portland, Oregon, so there's a local community of the believers that live there, and you meet together and talk through things you're struggling with and worship. And then there's also this aspect of, well, we're making a place for people who don't believe or are struggling
like
with this
that.
or struggling with that. So that's really what it's for. You know,
I like that so much, man. I think that's.
But I think when you're part of a church for a long time, like growing up in church, and that's all you know, you can almost become like, I don't want to say numb, like that sounds too harsh, but like it just is, it's all you know.
Yeah.
So you do like the Bible studies, you do the women's ministry things and the moms groups and all of that. And then when I kind of felt like when I needed support, then it wasn't there. And it was like, wait a minute, what was this all? What were we really a part of then?
Mm-hmm.
If when you actually are the one that needs support, you don't have it.
yeah, they almost look at you with glazed over eyes like, wait, what? You're struggling with something? Like, we're not supposed to talk about that.
Right.
Right.
Like, oh, wait, no,
Yep.
we're good, put you on a prayer chain or something.
Yep.
And then like, wait a minute, but that just seems backwards to
Mm-hmm.
me. And so I really didn't want to go to church for a while, quite a while. Which I feel like guilty even saying that, but that's the truth of it.
No.
You know.
I'm right there with you, Ange. Tig, you mentioned earlier that you were interested in the historic aspect of the Bible, which is probably, I think you can't even dispute it as the number one book that's ever been written. And it's not just one book, it's multiple books, and there is historical value there. But you also said that you had some general knowledge or understanding of other religions, Buddhism or whatever it may be out there. What's interesting to me about the difference between what Christianity, what people say, how is this not the same as all these other religions? Well, for me, I don't know of any other religious ideology out there that tells you cannot do it. Every other one tells you should do this, 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 and this in order to achieve this. Am I wrong by saying Christianity is the only one that tells you, no, you're screwed. You can't do it. Mm-hmm. If you do this, this, and this, if you pray and you face a certain direction or you martyr yourself or you do, none of that's good enough, right?
Yeah.
There's this cornerstone that is Jesus that makes it stand apart from every other religious ideology out there.
You can't work your way into it.
You can't.
Yeah.
You can't. And that's what makes it so unique. So with you having some knowledge of other religious ideologies, what has got you to the point that you said, okay, Jesus makes sense to me, and I understand why this is true and why I need this. I mean, that had to be a transition.
Yeah, I think when I first started reading the Bible and getting interested in Christianity and Jesus, almost right off the bat, I started noticing changes for the better in my life, in our relationship, in every aspect I could think of. Just things just took a turn for the better. And, you know, as I started praying and whatnot, that sort of thing, like I not that I'd pray to get a new job. I got a new job, which at a time where I had a job that wasn't so great, and I got to, and our relationship strengthened. And then we just bought a home recently. It's like the more involved I got and gave myself to Jesus, the better our lives got. And it was like,
and we had a good relationship. Like, it's not like it was good, but all of a sudden there was like a shift that can only be, it just is the Holy Spirit. There's no other way to describe it. And there was one night particular that I texted my mom and I was like, okay, things just took a turn in our house because Tigg's reading the Bible and he just told me I needed to watch my mouth. Like I was cussing and he was like, you need to be careful. And I'm like, wait, what? Like,
that's backwards.
Like, what's going on here? Like, talk about like, a change.
Wow.
Yeah. And I was like, okay, this is really, we've entered a new territory here. Like, all of a sudden he's the one telling me to watch it.
I'll bet that knocked you sideways for a minute, didn't it? Like,
yeah, I was like, I'm sorry, what? Like,
but you like that, right? Like from it, maybe not initially, but as it progressed.
Yes, I didn't even know that I wanted him to have that role. I didn't even know that like I needed that because I didn't have that.
Yeah, I think it freaked her out a little bit. She came home from work one day and I was sitting on the couch. She said, "What are you reading?" Little Isaiah. What?
Well, you know what I love about what you just shared with us, Tig, and I think we need to tell people that if you come to an understanding and a realization that Christ is real and He is who He said He is, and you decide to accept Him as your Lord and Savior, Christ is not coming in and manipulating your reality to where everything goes right. In my view, what Tig just described, what is happening when you start to read the Bible. The principles of the Bible, it is an outline of how the human machine must function. So what happens is all of a sudden you have the blueprint of how the human machine works. How you and in your life and your marriage and society and how it all works, right? And so when you tap into that and you start bringing your actions into alignment with the design of your Creator, things will get better. All right, you're not necessarily going to get rich. You're not going. God's not going to manipulate the natural world. But if you'll bring yourself into alignment with how you were designed and how we were designed to interact with each other, you're like, oh, holy crap, this actually works, right? And so this thing called wisdom, I have, and you get wise when you begin to study Scripture. The Bible makes a claim. It says the beginning of all wisdom is in the fear of the Lord, right? That's the beginning of wisdom when you say, okay, I now understand the process of creation. I know who my Creator is, and He has given me this. That is where wisdom starts. You can't possess it without that. I truly believe that part of the Bible that says the beginning of all true wisdom is in the fear of the Lord. Now, I notice a distinct shift in my life. People ask me all the time, Chad, maybe they read something I wrote or something like that, and they say, how are you so wise? And now I don't make the claim to be wise. I don't make that claim, but I have been asked that question because I'm fairly young. And there was a distinct shift in my life where when I began to study Scripture, the Holy Spirit opened my eyes to what Scripture tells me about life and morality and relationships and all this stuff. That wisdom was imparted to me through Scripture, right? And life became much clearer to me. And so that is the source of wisdom. You know, I was just talking to Chili the other day, and, you know, I enjoy every now and then listening to this guy, Jordan Peterson. He has a very vast knowledge of Scripture. But if you study Scripture just purely from a historical or a logical or even a metaphorical standpoint, you don't tap into the wisdom that it has to offer you. And I told Chili, I said, you know, this guy, Jordan Peterson, he is very intelligent. He's a deep thinker. He can process things down to the very root. But I still would not categorize him as wise. This is my own opinion. I don't look at that guy, I don't listen to that guy and say this guy is a wise human because of what we just talked about. And it's interesting, the difference between intelligence and wisdom.
Well, I've said it before. I don't say that I like or dislike people that I've never met, and I haven't met Jordan Peterson, but I love the way he I like listening to him.
He thinks a lot like you.
Go through things.
Yeah, your process of thought.
I just do. I like how he articulates arguments and everything else, and a lot about him. But you know, when you say wisdom and you're talking about wisdom, and he's read the Bible a lot. You know, he's very familiar with so many things, and you know, what you read doesn't say the beginning of all wisdom is from reading Scripture. It doesn't say that.
Yeah.
It says the beginning of all wisdom is from the fear of the Lord.
Yeah.
I mean, that's an interesting distinction. You know, it's like just reading this is not going to translate to wisdom. I
love that distinction. You have to read it with the proper whatever you call it, like position in your heart. You have, that's almost a precondition to extracting the wisdom, true, deep, meaningful, applicable wisdom, is that posture of your heart. That's the word I wanted. The posture that your heart is when you're reading that.
And we don't ever know, like, what someone else is processing in their own heart and in their own mind, because who knows? He could be having a whole experience.
Exactly. And we don't know what he.
And I like that, like, especially these days with podcasts and YouTube and all the things that we have access to, that, I mean, we're all just really working out our own salvation, like in reverence before God and wow, like that is so cool that, you know, here we are sitting here talking on a podcast with like ultra runners, which that is so not, I mean, talk about ironic, like that's bizarre. But talking about Jesus, that's the thing we have in common, and working out our salvation, our own salvation, just like Jordan Peterson is doing the same.
Yep. And by no means are my comments on him, I don't mean those to be derogatory. I'm just saying from the minor little bits that I've heard from him, that is my perspective. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't know what I mean. I don't have any form of judgment on what he thinks or what he's going through. It's all positive with me. I appreciate how he can have a discussion with anybody.
I do too.
And work through points. I love it, but
I like hearing like other people sort through stuff. Like it's like a study of the human experience.
Well, it's interesting because a lot of the things or the preconceived notions of life, or a lot of the beliefs that we have, if they're not deeply rooted in Scripture, a lot of the beliefs that we have about life are actually flawed when you get right down to the root of them. And if you try to formulate a notion of life or truth that's not rooted in Scripture, I don't even know how that's possible, because there are an infinite number of angles you can approach it from.
Yeah.
And so that's why I think so much wisdom can be extracted from Scriptures, because it gives you a root outside of yourself. It gives you a foundation outside of yourself that then you can build upon. You try to formulate, I'll tell you an example. One of my truths in life that was just completely destroyed yesterday was that the human will was the biggest part of the equation in a person's struggle. So if you're struggling with something, my perspective was, well, you're just not mentally tough enough, obviously. Like, you can will your way through this. That's not true. That is not true, right? Now, I thought that was true for me because that's what I'm able to do that in a lot of ways, but it's because I have other things in place that are supporting my will.
But you're really not able to do that on your own. Saying that you're mentally tough enough to will your way through is to say that you can do it all on your own and you don't need.
Well, I'm mainly, again, this is again why a lot of this for me, I've developed this concept, that is true for me, but it's not truth. I'm talking about the physical things that I do.
Yeah.
Even. That's more what I'm talking about. I'm not saying that I can will my way through everything that life throws at me, but even the physical stuff that we might be experiencing.
Yeah, but who's to even say how much of that is truly things going the way? I mean, certainly you got to put the work in, right? But I don't know. That'd be a whole nother discussion.
Yeah, I'll break that down. I'll break that down later. But anyways,
I think wisdom is really the knowledge that you get out of the Bible applied, and that's when you're able to get the wisdom that the Bible has to offer you.
One day I would like to really do a study on wisdom. Mm-hmm. Like, really try to define it. How does Scripture define it? Because I think a lot of times the perspective of wisdom gets overlapped with intelligence or knowledge or something like that.
The most wise people that I've ever met, and take this for what it's worth, from my perspective, it's the most wise people are the people who don't act like they know everything. They don't act like they know what they don't know. So I think in this world, especially the social media world, I think that's amplified it. We want people to come on there and talk about what they know. Like, I know this and I know that. And the wisest people I've met don't pretend like they know things that they don't know just for the sake of looking good, and that, once again, that's a Jordan Peterson characteristic. I can't help but bring him up, I don't think he gets on there and acts like he knows things that he doesn't know, and I really appreciate that.
But that's actually something that I loved about Tigg when I first met him, is that he just is solid. Like, when you talk about wisdom, yes, the Bible, all of that, there's a spiritual wisdom that comes with it. But then there's also just practical wisdom and life. And that's he's principled, and he has this depth to him. He doesn't have to prove himself. He's not going to say like you said, he knows something that he doesn't. He's I don't know about that. Let's figure it out. Or there's no bravado that he has to prove something. He's not going to fake it. He's brutally honest. And I love that about him. And adding this whole new level of the spiritual part of it is just I don't know. It's so,
no, that makes sense.
It's incredible.
And I think through the basic course and even into the proving ground, for me, some self-confidence, some self-doubt, or self-confidence issues and self-doubt mainly revolve around the question, what do I bring to the table? Like there's this team here. You've got somebody that's on the team that's an ultra runner already, and somebody that's just, somebody that hikes their backpacks all the time, and you got somebody that's a hunter. But what do I bring? And I over us discussing it recently quite a bit, actually, I think part of that is what she was saying. I think it's wisdom, which comes with age and life experience. And there's this whole different level of wisdom, maybe that I'm coming into now with my faith, but just having years of experience. And, sometimes it's more important to know when to keep your mouth shut than to open it and, say something or talk to something that you're not familiar with or you don't know about. So
talk about wise. Keeping your mouth shut's wise. Yeah.
Yeah, that is true. We're going to break down that topic one of these days. Like,
even a fool's thought wise if he doesn't open his mouth.
yeah, that's true.
But isn't there the Bible verse that says like wisdom, who can know her? Like it's like it is the ultimate.
It's always something you're seeking more of.
Nobody gonna call Blake a fool.
So Tig, I mean, ultimately we talked about the difference between Christianity and all these other religions. Like at what point like, was it Jesus, like the cornerstone? Like,
I think when I got back from the basic course, I think that was very revealing for me. Some of the things we do out on the course, the reflection on our lives and hearing your teammates reflect on their lives, was kind of a catalyst for me to pursue Jesus further and to look more into that. And I think I'd gotten home, after we were done. That was the beginning of March. And I think May 31st, we were sitting on the couch watching something on TV. And I think I asked Ange about how do you get saved? Like, what do you have to do to be saved? And she said, well, confess with your mouth and know in your heart. And I thought for some reason, like it was a big deal. Like you had to go somewhere to be saved, or somebody had to do it for you. You needed your pastor to perform some sort of ceremony for you to be saved, and I wanted that. And she's like, well, you can be saved right here on the couch next to me, and I did. I spoke it, and it was done right there at home. I thought it had to be fanfare and, you had to be at a church building and all that sort of thing, and witnesses, somebody to sign something. I didn't know,
yeah.
Yeah. And it was once I did, it was like a weight was lifted instantly. Like I just felt like it was right, and just, it's changed everything since then.
Dang, man.
It's kind of been the direction, it's kind of it's influenced everything, my focus on everything in my life, that from that point on.
Which I love that, like, there are people that have incredible, like, experiences that are giant and monumental and, powerful. That's great. But I think, like, there's something really just, what's the right word? Like, just practical about just living your everyday life in a principled way and sitting on the couch being like, you know what? Wait, I want Jesus. Like, I'm going to ask him right now. And like, it just feels, it feels right. Like it was the exact thing that.
At the exact
Watch
right
that mic,
time.
Ange.
Oh, yeah.
I want to make sure you come through loud and clear.
It just was it fit so perfectly with who he is and how he processes things. It was just right.
Yeah.
As of course, God is good like that, like by his grace, that's how it works.
I love how simple our Creator made it. He wanted it to be, it had to be simple because he wants it to be available to everyone. How simple is that? I mean, that's what one of the most beautiful aspects of salvation as Christ laid it out for us is the simplicity of it. And yeah, you don't need all of this fanfare and you don't need all of this stuff. It's literally something you can do anywhere. It's something that you as a follower of Christ can share or walk through anyone with. And it's just so beautiful. It's just so simple. It's just beautiful, man.
Yeah, that's a beautiful small part of your testimony that can help other people, because there's a lot of people out there that still think just like you thought, like, well, yeah, I want to get saved now, but I'm not a member of a church, or I got to wait for the altar call, or I've got, all these things have to happen. Mm-hmm. And there you can say, no, man, I asked my wife right here on my couch, and I found out that you could do it this way, and that's what we did, and I've been saved ever since. And so
how did we get so far from that? How do we've gotten so far from the concept of what salvation actually is.
Well, yeah, I don't think anybody's really said, like, this is how you have to do it, but so many people now attend a local church, building, whatever, and that's how it's done, and so they just think, and if that's the way that it happened for them, then they think, well, I guess that's the way it's got to be, and someone on the outside that doesn't know any better or any different, then that's, what else do you have to go by? But I think it's important to put that message out, even if you're a pastor or whatever, to say, hey, I'm going to give this Sunday, but you don't have to be here. If your buddy wants to get saved, you can tell him about it, and y'all can do it out on the street corner or on your couch. It doesn't matter. And so to put that out there, I think is a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Well, Chad asked the question, why have we gotten so far from that? Why is it confusing? Well, who, if you ask them, could define what salvation is? Like, a lot of people don't have an answer ready for that.
Yeah.
I mean, even leaders, like, you're like, explain it. I mean, they'll have an answer and they'll kind of go down this road, but you're like, what are you saying? I mean, is it really that? Just tell me what it, like that's kind of what you asked. You were like, well, how do I be saved?
Right.
That should be easily, I mean, kind of like, I guess, like you told him, you laid it out plain as day in front of him, I just don't think, I think that's why we've gotten far from that, is it's not.
You're right. I mean, even using the word saved, like what does that actually mean? What?
Nobody really knows how to articulate that.
What my understanding, when we use the word saved, that implies, well, you're asking questions. Well, why do I need to be saved? What am I being saved from? And for me, almost a better way to put it would be you are being reconciled back to a relationship with your Creator that has been broken because of the wickedness that is inherently in you. You know what I mean? And it's like, yes, you do. You have to be you're being saved from yourself.
Yeah.
Essentially is what that actually means.
We were talking about this in the car actually on the way over here, because I grew up in church, and so when I got saved, I was 5, and a little girl at church told me I had the devil in my heart. And I was like, no, I don't. Like, what? We hate the devil. Like, it's the only thing we're allowed to hate. And I don't have the devil in my heart. And my dad and his buddy were like, well, do you want to know for sure that you don't have the devil in your heart? And I was like, yes, absolutely. And so I prayed just after church one day with them as a 5-year-old, like the sinner's prayer, as simple and basic as could be. And I was saved. But Tigg said, we just talked about it on the way over here, and he goes, oh, I thought you kind of got grandfathered in because like your dad was the pastor. And that is how things are overcomplicated, because so many people that grow up in church, they probably think that, like, well, I'm kind of grandfathered in because my dad was the pastor, or my parents had a relationship with Jesus, and so I do too. But that isn't the way it is. Like, you have to have your own relationship with Jesus outside of your family, outside of, what your family heritage has been, or any of that. Like, it's
personal.
It has to be personal. Yeah. I mean, you can live a good life without that, but you're not going to live a great life in Jesus without that.
I think another thing too is that it's human nature to something as grand as salvation and actually receiving that, you feel like I have to do more. This is too simple. It's like when we give people the mandate freedom money, they're like, what's the catch? Like, what do I have to do? And so I feel like humans, we think, this is a huge thing for me to receive, and there has to be more to it. I have to do more than just this, or it has to be a little more complex, or if someone buys your dinner and you're like, nah, man, no, let me give you this, or you want to repay, right? Mm-hmm. And I think that a lot of that is the hang up, is just human nature, and it's hard to understand the truly free and unconditional love that, like, it's hard for us to comprehend that, and because we don't love people that way. Here in America and probably most of the earth, you get what you deserve. That's the message that's preached. You do bad, you get bad. You do good, you get good. And that's preached so much that it's hard to understand who God is and how he really loves and treats us.
Grace is a hard thing to understand.
Yeah. Yeah, you hear the word karma thrown around a lot. Karma is actually I don't use that word.
Well, maybe it's a good thing, possibly, that you have that inclination that you should do more for it, because as far as what you deserve, yeah, you should do more for it. Like, we don't deserve it. Yeah. So that's a legitimate feeling that you would have to have, that, oh, I actually should do more for this because I don't deserve it. So that's actually, you could say, well, that's a good thing to realize that. But then what has to be coupled with it is that you can't.
Yeah.
You know, both of those things in conjunction are like, oh, okay, yeah, I actually should do more for this because I don't deserve it. However, I can't. So, you know, I mean, I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah, I think the should do more is the follow on. Like, you have to understand and accept that it is truly this simple for me to receive salvation. But I understand that I get it, but I don't feel like I deserve it, and I don't, so I want to do more. And then that's like the follow on. But if you never think that it's really that simple, and you keep questioning it, you're gonna get hung up right there for a long time, when you're gonna say, oh, was I really saved? Am I really saved? I don't know if I've done enough. And so there has to be a point where you just have saved by grace through faith. You have to have faith that truly is the beginning, and to want to do more is a beautiful thing. Like, when you realize I don't deserve this and you want to do more, present yourself as a living sacrifice every day. This is yours. This is yours. This time is yours. This moment's yours. Everything. And I think that goes into what you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, and also all those questions you were mentioning, you know, it is, we can sit here and say it's simple all day long. Well, if it was, I mean, maybe it is simple, but we confuse it. Maybe you want to say that. Like, it's confusing for people. You know, people have a hard time with it, and I think that's, you know, the more you can clear things up, I mean, in your own head, for other people, help them do, you know, that's important. I mean, I think understanding people's struggles with it, and that they are legitimate is an important thing. I think too many people come off as like, what, you don't get it? You know, why don't you get it? And it's like, that's not helping anybody.
Right.
At all. So
yeah, I want to ask you, Tig. You know, we've talked about the basic course on the podcast before, and I know everybody's experience at the basic course is different. I want to ask you primarily about your experience at the Proving Ground, and did it build upon what you learned at the basic course? Did it? How did it impact you? What value did you get from it, or just generally your experience with that, man? Because I don't get to hear a lot of people, talk about what that training meant to them. I know what it means to me, but I don't get to hear a lot about what that means to you guys. So,
yeah, I think it definitely built upon the basic course. I had some struggles at the basic course. A little bit with my physical fitness and that sort of thing. And when we finished the basic course, I decided I wasn't going to let that happen again. Like, I knew I wanted to do the Proving Ground, and I knew I was going to have to put in the work, so that I didn't have those kind of struggles there. And I did over the almost a year before I got to the proving ground. And I think it paid off, even though I wasn't the strongest person there. I felt strong the whole time, and that was huge. And I came away from it feeling good about myself, and everything else that went along with it was fantastic. The land navigation, or, just everything that we did there. There were some lessons in teamwork and everything else. So
I think you came back like you felt clearer about some things that you wanted to do.
Yeah, I think I went into the proving ground really wanting to work on my self-confidence still and leadership skills. And I think I've grown in those areas because of it as well. Even though I wasn't a leader there necessarily, I led in my own way, and I certainly felt more comfortable interjecting information into the parts of it where I felt strong, So
How was the pace of it compared to the basic course? Like, were you shocked at the pace of it? Was it different to you, or? You know what I mean, as far as pace, just the intensity of it.
Yeah, I think the intensity was certainly higher. I think I got more out of the basic course. I think maybe just because a smaller group, a smaller team, whatnot. But I think I enjoyed the proving ground more. I enjoyed the pace of it quite a bit.
Yeah.
Some of the physical parts of it, I actually found myself at the end wishing there was more of it.
Yeah.
Like he said, he wished that Sunday would have been like he was ready to like go hard again.
Yeah.
Yeah, more PT. Give me more.
And I was like, what? Like,
yeah, just maybe because I had grown and gotten stronger and just felt more confident in that aspect. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's why it's so hard to gauge. I ask myself that question all the time of those two training evolutions, which one is more difficult? It's hard to gauge because they're both they're both very uniquely difficult in totally different ways. And I saw the work that you were putting in to get ready and physically prepared for the proving grounds, and I figured you were going to crush it more so than you crushed out of the basic course.
I still wouldn't say I'm a runner, but I've been running, and we just started doing kickboxing.
Yeah.
And we got the kettlebells in the garage, so we're putting in the work there. So I felt strong, but I think part of it that I brought to the proving ground that I learned about myself on the basic course was that mentally, like I've got mental toughness. Just a never quit kind of attitude that I knew no matter how hard it got, that I wasn't going to quit. I just had that mental toughness. And some of the aspects and the parts of the proving ground, I felt even more than physical stuff, some of the mental stuff that we do there, I felt even stronger than I did physically.
That's awesome, dude.
Yeah.
but one thing that you said was that you wouldn't let happen again was that the opportunity to lead, to be there, and you not take it. Like that was a bit of a sting, and you came back and said you would not let that happen again.
Yeah.
I think that's kind of
I had an opportunity at the beginning of the proving ground to step up.
Yeah.
And I told myself going into it, like I'm going to be a leader. I want to be a leader here, and I didn't. And that's my one regret coming away from that. But on the plus side, like I learned something else about myself. I learned, like, you reflect on, why did I not? What were the barriers that prevented me from stepping up? When you're being
I'm
called
interested.
out for different things.
What were some of those barriers that you've dissected?
I think the biggest one was my fear of failure, and not being a leader, or being the leader that I want to be in my mind.
Yeah.
Somehow. Yeah.
Yeah. I get that. Yeah. Yeah. I've been in similar scenarios where you have aspirations of what you want to do, but then when you get put on the spot, all of a sudden it's like, oh my gosh, and then if you don't seize it in that moment, it's too late. Yeah. That's awesome, man.
He said, well, that will never happen again. Like, I'll remember that minute.
I love that. That's a
Yeah.
huge lesson, man.
Yeah, we'll see what happens in the Alpine mission.
And that's why we train, right? So you came there, and had you not had that realization, then maybe when it really counts in life, when it's time to step up, you wouldn't have done it. But now you know what that feels like when it's time to step up. You know your tendencies, and you can say, oh, I've experienced this before, and I know what to do, and now I can do it.
Yeah.
Do you guys have to use the restroom or anything? Everybody good? All right, because I want to dig in real quick to how you guys have been dealing with life where you guys live. Obviously, with everything that's been going on with coronavirus and all this stuff, you guys are in an area, Portland, Oregon, that I think everybody's heard is a tough place to be and has been a tough place to be for the last 2 years now. And how have you guys been able to overcome? Whatever. I just want to know, because I know that's had to been a huge. Maybe I'm wrong, but has it been challenging for you guys?
Yeah, huge challenge. Because when everything first got shut down, actually, I think it's kind of interesting too. The conversations about the basic course and stuff, it all like just dovetails together, because when things got shut down, like I had huge anxiety, and what we were living with was like, we didn't leave the house for 3 months. We like barely, there was a time we had to run to Home Depot, and we were like in the parking lot trying to decide, like, do we go in, do we not? Like,
yeah.
If we get it, then we're going to give it to Granddad, and what if he dies because we gave it? Like, we were having just about running in to get like something at Home Depot. Like,
I know.
And my daughter had a really hard time with it too. So it was the three of us kind of stuck home for a long time together. And Tig just like rose to the occasion. Like, he was our anchor. Like, he held it together for us when we were like, oh my gosh. And he'd be like, put your phone down. Like, it doesn't matter the statistics or how many people have it today. Like, I would be like before bed looking at like, what do the stats say? And he'd be like, why? Like, stop it. Like, you're lighting your own anxiety fire. Like,
Yeah, and when we say shut down, I realize like not everywhere shut down. It seems like probably some areas down here didn't shut down completely, or maybe
They all did for a little while.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's everything. The city, I worked for the city of Portland, and we closed up shop, and I got like 3 weeks off paid. I just go home, stay in your house, don't come out of your house. It was crazy.
Yeah.
but
In hindsight, crazy.
was that before the basic course, or had you done it?
I think just before, maybe. Yeah, just before.
So you
Oh, no, you did it before.
this is interesting, because the genesis of all the training that we do was the coronavirus. It was when we had the realization that like this is a huge part of it anyways. There are people here in the United States that are in areas that they have just lost their entire ability to interact with other people. They've lost community. And a huge part of it was us saying, okay, can we legally and responsibly stand something up where people can come out and be people again and have this. And I remember the early courses, the early basic courses, people like, they didn't know if they were going to need to wear a mask. They were like, what's the deal here? You know, like what's appropriate here? And from day one, we've been all about personal responsibility. If you get invited to this course, hey man, if you want to wear a mask on the basic course, you go right ahead. But there are no requirements here, you know? And so I think that was one of the most powerful parts, the most powerful things that I'll remember for the rest of my life is knowing that we could provide a place for people to come, to train, to grow, an environment where people can be face-to-face, social distancing in the wilderness is actually dangerous. And like, that was a big part of the genesis of that training, man. And I don't know. I just thought about that. I haven't thought about that in a long time. But so as far as like emotionally, have you had struggles with anger or any of that based off of what's going on in your community? I mean, has that ever crept in, or frustration, or whatever you call it?
You know what? Maybe a little bit. I feel like we're so far past that now.
Yeah.
Like even in our little community that we live in, we moved to.
Well, we moved out of the city, so that tells you something.
Yeah, we moved.
So you guys made a move.
We bought a house specifically outside of the city of Portland and outside of our county. I mean, it still is the Portland metro area, but that says a lot.
Yeah, totally. How were you able to be that anchor for your family through the difficult time, Tig? What was driving you? What were the tools? Because don't tell me you didn't have stress on you, knowing that you were the anchor for these people that needed you. I mean, what was that like day to day, man?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't have a good answer for that. It wasn't anything that a conscious effort, really. But I think in general, I tend to be that way, to step up in times of trouble or need. Like several years ago, Angela stumbled down a flight of stairs and she fell and cracked her elbow pretty good. Probably needed stitches, but I don't think we went to the hospital. And I don't like blood necessarily. Like, I'm not good around that sort of thing. But like I just sprung into action, that sort of thing. It was just intrinsic, or somehow it's just step up when you need to step up. I don't know if it's just a sixth sense. If somebody needs your help and there's nobody else there.
But sometimes I've thought, is it because I am pretty high strung and kind of a control freak? And so if I don't need anything and I can like take care of myself, then he doesn't have to step up.
Yeah.
I mean, that's humbling to say, but I think there's some truth to that. That like, that was maybe the first time that I was like, I have no idea. Like, I don't know how to even carry this anxiety and this burden. And he it gave him the opportunity to like really be helpful to me in a way that we hadn't had that experience before. And for my daughter too, at the same time, like he came in and was strong for us. And I'm so thankful for that. But that was before the basic course and stuff. So I think there was a lot of things like leading up to his experience at the basic course. But
she didn't think I was going to go. She asked me, she's like, "You really going to do that?" Like, I don't know. If you didn't think, I don't know what you thought.
Tell me about that, Angie.
Well, he doesn't like to.
I mean, Ange, my bad.
That's okay. He says he doesn't like to travel alone. Like, all the unknown parts of it, like, that is so out of his character. Like, he wants to know. Like, before we went to dinner last night, 3 days ago, he read the menu, like, knew what was offered.
Structure.
I went to listen to some old podcasts and heard Blake talk about how much he loved Blossom Hill. So shout out to Blossom Hill. Food was great.
Yeah.
But he's like, here's what we're going to need. He plans it out. He's got stuff laid out. If we're going to the airport, he's like, we're there 2.5 hours early, even if we are going to sit at the gate for an hour and a half. Like, that's the way he is. So for him to go on the basic course and not know exactly where he's going, for one, and like not have a lot of information about it, I was like, he is going to bail the day before. Like, he's going to be like, no, I don't know. I have a cold.
Were you, what's up? I mean, how'd you, that being so out of your character, Tig, I mean.
Well, I think that was part of it. And this whole evolution and journey I'm kind of on, and not, I don't know how to explain it. Not reinventing myself, but trying new things,
Yeah.
And my mantra for this year, if you will, is do hard things. You got to step out of your comfort zone. That's where the growth happens. It's when you step out of your comfort zone and you're doing new things and you're pushing yourself in whatever aspect that is, physically or mentally, emotionally. If you want to grow as a person, you've got to do things that are new and hard. You got to do hard things. Mm-hmm. So that's now my focus.
So that was a beautiful first step into that, right?
Yeah.
Flying all the way to the East Coast to do something you didn't even know what it was going to be.
Stepping off into the woods with 7 other strangers.
I think that weekend, like maybe on Saturday night, I messaged Brooke on Instagram, which I barely, like I was searching Tiggs to find like, okay, what's Chad's wife's name again? And like, where, like, who is he even with? Like,
yeah.
And said like, can you just tell me what mountain they're on? Like, where are they at? Like, has anybody had to call in for a helicopter yet? Or like, just because I had a slight panic all of a sudden, like, but he came back in one piece.
That's awesome, man. I love hearing these stories. These are the stories I don't ever get to hear. So, well, dang, man, this was an awesome conversation. I mean, to hear just the progression of your spiritual walk, Tig, to get to learn a little more about the details of that. I think there's a lot of wisdom in there, and I think there's a lot of things that are going to help people work through something similar to what you had to work through, man.
Yeah, and I think in talking to Justin Shealy yesterday, I think if one person can take something away from this, if it can change one heart or one mind, then it's all been worth it. You know? And part of the reason I wanted to come here and do this in person, as opposed to Zoom or a phone call, and it just means the world to me.
Well, it is very unique. I would challenge you to not hold back the aspects of your faith and your spiritual progress with other people, man. Don't hold back the fact that you were looking at other religions. Don't hold back the fact that you were really only interested in the historical value of the Bible, and don't hold back the progress and what happened through that progress and that process in your life, man, because it's real.
Yeah.
It's real, and that's what we need more of. We need more real stories and real testimonies of like, hey, no, man, this is how it played out for me. And you're going to be able to pour into people that a lot of us can't reach, man. And so don't hold back on that stuff, brother.
Yeah, roger that.
It's special, man. It really is.
Thanks.
I would say too, Tig, I mean, maybe part of it is holding back, but I think another part of the reason why people don't share things or maybe hold back, and maybe unintentional, and for me, myself, is if you don't take the time to go back and dissect it and actually pull out the lessons and put words to them, like I think you kind of see the value, but my challenge to you and to both of you is to go back through your story and really put words to the lessons that you learned in each situation so that you can, and that just comes with reps, but so that you can explain it to other people, because I don't feel like you're the type of person to hold back because you think someone may not want to hear it or that it's not valuable, because of the stories I've heard where you tell them to stop spraying bleach on their groceries and shut it down at Christmas. You're the kind of man that's going to stand up and say, well, this is what it is. And like it or leave it, this is what I think. But if you would spend the time to really dissect that, you got a lot of valuable stuff that's going, if you don't do that, then you're doing a disservice to this whole generation right here. So it's worth taking the time to go through it, and same for you, Ange.
Yeah, we'll do.
Yeah, Ange, and I'm glad you decided to sit in on this conversation. I did not know I had no clue about you and your back intentionally. To be honest with you, Blake can say what he wants, And I told him yesterday that I didn't come to dinner because I couldn't get up and walk, but I could get up and walk.
Well, not really.
The reason I didn't come to dinner is because I love being able to sit down in this environment and learn about someone for the first time.
I told him that last night.
Okay, I really do, and it was so cool to be able to meet you. We met at PT this morning, but I really met you for the first time sitting down and having this conversation, and that's really special, man.
She almost didn't come to PT either. I took like 5 times of saying, you should come to PT with us.
Well, I thought like PT was like, I was mixing it up with PR. Like, you guys are going out to set some record, and like, I'm going to go for a walk. Like so.
Well, the track we were on this morning, unless you're old spry chili over there, it's a hike. Yeah.
I think one thing I did want to say too was that maybe because we're older, I mean, there's an impression maybe from my background or church and stuff like that you have to wait for some kind of calling to like do the thing, share your story, share your testimony, that you have to wait for some opportunity. And, you know, if you don't do that in your 30s or your 20s or whatever, like you missed it. And then what? So, okay, well, you just go on doing your life, but you don't share it. And I feel really kind of convicted about that because like, I just don't think that's true. Like, you're right. Everyone has a story and it's valuable to someone, and
it's valuable to more people than you think it is.
Right. But that is, it's like being vulnerable in that way. You can't control like how someone else is going to receive it. And I'm like, want to make sure it like looks like, let's tie it all up with a nice bow and make it look pretty. But like struggles aren't pretty. Like you go through stuff, you make mistakes, and it's like, sometimes you're climbing in the house, like puking after a big run. Like that's not the pretty stuff, but like, that's the same for our spiritual lives. Like, you know, even going back to like a church girl marrying someone that's not a Christian. And that's like the biggest no of, you know, you're not supposed to do that. And I'm so thankful that by the grace of God, like he does, you know, take those things and make beauty out of them. You know, he turns things around for his glory. And I feel like that's something that we got to remember. Like a mistake doesn't, it's not your life. It's one thing. And you get to deal with that, and then you get to move on and do something else.
Yep.
There's time that it's never too late. Your best days should be ahead of you always, even if you're about to die. Then look where you're going. Your best days should always be ahead. So if you're 50 years old and you think, man, I have just squandered all my life away, well, it's time to turn it around, and you've got these years, Lord willing, left, and turn it around, you know. And also, I want to say that somebody here just said that it matters to more people than you think. And if you knew how many people either look up to you or appreciate what you have to say, you would share things with people more often. How many times do you have a good, genuine, true thought about somebody, and you think it, and you don't do anything with it? You don't tell the person, you don't call them, you don't text them. How often does that happen? And how much more would that person do had they knew, man, I really look up to Tigg, and for him to send me this message, it really means a lot to me in my day or week or whatever, or maybe this thing I'm in or want to start. Now I'm going to do it because I know other people are paying attention to what I'm doing. And I mean, I don't like the accountability buzzword, but essentially that can be what it is. And I mean, that's something that I used to do and got away from, but I'm trying to get back into now. It's a wasted thought if you have a good, genuine, this can't be no bull crap. You can't say, hey, I appreciate who you are, Tigg. You got to be specific with the things you say. But it is worthwhile because people look up to you and value what anybody who's listening to this. There's somebody that's looking up to you.
What, and going back to what Ange said about how she kind of spoke to people that are more in the middle of their life, or maybe even on the back half of their life, usually there are so many people around that we can look at, that when they reach that point in their life, the ruts that they're in are grooved so deeply, and they look up and they say, it's just not worth it to try to get out of this rut of who I'm supposed to be, and so that's why it's the easier path.
Right.
On the back half of your life, it's the easier path just to stay in that rut. I read something the other day that I really like, and I want to share with you guys, and then we'll shut it down. But I think it pertains to what Ange just said, and this is a writing by a guy named Hunter S. Thompson. I think he was a journalist. I know
Fear and Loathing.
he was a pretty looked like a pretty wild dude, but this writing was really impacted me greatly. It said, "Let us visualize the secure man. And by this term, I mean the man who has settled for financial and personal security for his goal in life. In general, he is a man who has pushed ambition and initiative aside and settled down, so to speak, in a boring but safe and comfortable rut for the rest of his life. His future is but an extension of his present, and he accepts it as such with a complacent shrug of his shoulders. His ideas and ideals are those of society in general, and he is accepted as a respectable but average and prosaic man. But is he a man? Has he any self-respect or pride in himself? How could he, when he has risked nothing and gained nothing? What does he think when he sees his youthful dreams of adventure, accomplishment, travel, and romance buried under the cloak of conformity? How does he feel when he realizes that he has barely tasted the meal of life? When he sees the prison he has made for himself in pursuit of the almighty dollar? If he thinks this is all well and good, fine. But think of the tragedy of a man who has sacrificed his freedom on the altar of security and wishes he could turn back the hands of time. A man is to be pitied who lacked the courage to accept the challenge of freedom and depart from the cushion of security and see life as it is instead of living secondhand. Life has passed this man by, and he has watched from a secure place, afraid to seek anything better. What has he done except sit and wait for tomorrow, which never comes?" And so, listen to Ange today. If you I don't care where you are in life, I don't care where you are in your relationship with Christ, or where you are in your spiritual walk. Get out of that rut, man, and experience life for what it really is. And don't let your future simply be an extension of your present.
That's good.
Love you guys.
You too.
Nuff said.